Hey there, Jake here from CVP. Today we are taking a look at DZO's latest set of lenses. These are the Arcana, a compact set of 1.5x anamorphic lenses designed for full frame cameras. We have a range of compact, affordable anamorphics on the market now, but these are DZO's take. But how do they perform, and do they have that lovely anamorphic look that people are constantly hunting for? Let's take a look. As soon as I got these lenses on camera, I knew that these had some of that anamorphic goodness that we love. We've managed to use the Arcana on smaller mirrorless cameras like the C50, and even on larger cinema cameras like the Venice and Red Monstro. The Arcana balances anamorphic qualities with some cleaner optical traits, which I personally really like. A lot of anamorphics are soft wide open in the centre, whereas these are nice and sharp, but do have a little bit of fall off towards the corners. Stopping down to around T4 to 5.6 does improve performance, and this is pretty normal, as this is where most people will shoot anamorphic lenses, as a lot of them are quite soft until you hit this point. When stopped down though, the out of focus areas that the Arcana can render still look really good. The Arcana are actually surprisingly compact and lightweight, given their coverage, squeeze factor, and T2.1 maximum aperture. They're so small that they work great on smaller mirrorless and cine cameras, but also work well on the larger traditional cinema camera packages. They also all work on the DJI Ronin 4D, they all balance fine and work with the LiDAR well. It really is crazy how far accessible anamorphic lenses have come over the past 10 years. The Arcana are priced at just under £960 per lens if purchased individually, or roughly $2,600 for the 3-lens kit, which includes a nice little case. DZO are also currently offering a free PL adapter with the purchase of any lens or kit, which would be great if you're wanting to adapt them onto a mirrorless mount camera. This affordable price means I can see a range of filmmakers grabbing them, from owner-operators wanting to look at their first anamorphic lens, all the way up to seasoned cinematographers wanting an incredibly compact anamorphic lens. If you want to order a set of them for yourself or any other cine, video, or photo equipment, please head over to our website. We sell and ship globally, so if you're looking to buy anything, please use the links in the description, as it really helps us keep making these videos. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. The Arcana feature a squeeze factor of 1.5 times, which has become a nice middle ground for people wanting a balanced modern anamorphic lens that has some of the magic of a 2 times, while commonly being much smaller than those, more affordable, and better for full frame acquisition aspect ratios. As we do with any anamorphic lens, we wanted to check what the actual squeeze factor is, and whether they suffer from any swimming or fishbowling. Taking a clip of a circle in the centre of the frame into Resolve, we can see they are pretty close to being dead on at 1.5 times. The 32mm is maybe a touch off, but the other two are very solid. One thing to bear in mind though is this is just at one focus distance, and they may change throughout the focus range. Though from our testing they do seem consistent on projector, even at close focus. Another thing to consider is how the lenses squeeze across the frame. For this we can look at our distortion chart and see that the 32mm does squeeze the image differently towards the corners, whereas the other two are pretty consistent. We have uploaded our extensive testing onto Vimeo, so if you want to see everything we've shot for these tests, you can via the link in the description. Lots of cameras now offer 1.5 times D-squeezes in camera, but depending on the sensor format of your chosen camera or setting, it will change the aspect ratio you end up with in post. Some common ones being 16:9, which will result in 2.6 to 1, 3:2, which will result in 2.25 to 1, and 4:3, which will result in 2 to 1. This means you can easily put these onto a range of cameras, whether that's a small mirrorless body, medium-sized run and gun camera, or full cinema package, though on larger cameras, they do look rather small. With anamorphics, how they render out-of-focus elements is a crucial part of the quintessential anamorphic look. The Arcana are 1.5 times anamorphics, but also feature a physical 14-blade elliptical iris, which emphasises the oval shape of the bokeh the Arcana renders. It does look far closer to a 2 times lens than a standard 1.5, and the T2.1 maximum aperture helps produce some very nice shallow depth of field imagery. Throughout the 3-lens set, they're actually surprisingly similar. Wide open, they all exhibit a little bit of cutting, which you can see here. This does make the shape wide open look a little bit funky at points, and not perfectly oval. As we stop down, they all improve shape-wise. I think from around T4 onwards, our highlights look really well shaped. They're nice and oval, which is what we want to see. They will have a touch of green fringing around our highlights at close focus, and red-blue when at infinity. The highlights are very clean with no texture and consistent brightness. They all have a slight swirl to them, but the 32mm is by far the strongest, with some really interesting corner performance. And this character persists even as we stop down. Overall, I think the Arcana have a really nice quality to their outer focus areas. They certainly do have that anamorphic look. Another crucial part of that anamorphic look is how a lens flares. So let's take a look at how the Arcana perform. DZO have used a white coating on the Arcana, which essentially means they take on the colour of the flare light source. So looking at some tests with a bicolour light, we can see as I dial through the Kelvin range, the flare changes colour. Looking at our classic torch flare tests, we can see that they are slightly inconsistent. The 32mm and 75mm have a distinct horizontal flare, which is a little circular at the edges, but the 45mm isn't quite as streaked. There are also horizontal elements to it, but it's not as strong as on the other two. The 32mm is also less blue than the other two, which have a much more blue flare to them. They all have interesting subflares and veiling glare, which you can control as you stop down. There's also quite a bit of vertical flaring as well across the set. We also took them outside to film some sun flares, and they look quite similar. I do like the purple and blue subflares across them, they look really nice. As you stop down, you can see nice sun stars across each lens, and stopping down clearly controls the amount of flare across the set. I think given their size and price, they actually flare quite nicely. I do wish they were a bit more consistent across the set, but when it comes to affordable anamorphic lenses, they have some of my preferred flares. I know there's been quite a lot of discussion online already about the flares, especially around the colour of them. This is of course just personal preference, but as a retailer we see people's buying habits, and the more neutral colour style flares are often people's choice over blue or warm. But I'm sure offering these with different flare colours is something DZO could offer, as they have with their Pavo series of anamorphics previously. What do you think of the flares? Let us know down in the comments. Taking a look at some of our chart testing, we can see that the Arcanas are sharp in the centre with minimal aberrations. As you stop down, they do improve in the centre, looking really good at 2.8 onwards. Each lens also has fall off in corner performance wide open. The 32 and 45mm have CA that is present even when stopped down to 5.6, but both get much sharper at T5.6. The 75mm corners have far less CA and more spherical aberration. Overall, considering they are compact anamorphics, they resolve pretty well, and I would say you don't need to stop down too much to get nice sharp images in the centre. Distortion profiles in anamorphic lenses is something that people have different subjective tastes about. The argument for barrel or pincushion distortion is a constant discussion online. All three focal lengths of the Arcana have barrel distortion, which personally I prefer the look of over pincushion. The 32mm definitely has the most out of the set. It gets pretty wacky towards the corners. The 45mm is more controlled, and the 75mm is definitely the most well corrected out of these three focal lengths. Anamorphic lenses notoriously don't have great close focus, and the Arcana are pretty standard for compact anamorphics. The 32mm focuses down to 48cm or 1 foot 7 inches, the 45mm down to 53cm or 1 foot 9 inches, and the 75mm down to 78cm or 2 foot 7 inches. They perform well here though, they are still nice and sharp with minimal aberrations. If you want to get better close focus with these, diopters are the solution and are often used with anamorphic lenses, though for most regular filming scenarios, these distances aren't too bad. Each lens has pretty substantial focus breathing, but that's to be expected from anamorphic lenses, and when doing regular pulls, I think it adds to the anamorphic look rather than distracts. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Let's take a look at some transverse aberration tests. Across the set we can see pinky red aberration before our point of focus and cyan blue after. This is present across each focal length and they all perform decently similarly. It's not super saturated, and when you stop down to 5.6, all three lenses clean up nicely. Looking at the creative footage we shot as well, they look really nice and clean, which personally I do prefer. The Arcana has an image circle of 43.3mm, which should cover most full frame sensors you're going to be pairing them with. As they are PL mount, we have captured them for our lens coverage tool on our website. So let's take a quick look at how they perform. The 32mm will have some light fall off on a regular 3x2 full frame sensor, and with a Raptor VV and open gate, you will have some hard vignetting. The 45mm again has a little bit of light fall off towards the corners, but no hard vignetting on either format. The 75mm performs very similarly to the 45mm. If you want to see exactly how these will cover your camera of choice, check out our coverage tool, link to that is in the description. For our colour matching test, we shot a grey card in the centre of frame across all of the lenses. We then cropped into the card and white balanced in Resolve, noting the changes between the different lenses. There's only a slight colour shift across the 3 lenses. Realistically, it's only a max of about 100 Kelvin difference, which is pretty minimal. Currently, the lenses are only available in PL mount, which I don't think is a massive issue, as you can easily adapt them onto any mirrorless mount camera, and then also use them with PL mount cinema cameras. One really nice detail about these lenses is that even though they are so compact, they don't have a super deep protruding rear optic. I actually measured these and the 32mm protrudes the most, but it's less than the 22mm, which is the safe limit for kippertized filter systems, and also within spec for some others as well. Here are the full numbers, so make sure to check them with whatever system you are looking to use them with. But these measurements are good and should mean these lenses work well with a good amount of rear filter systems. As I said earlier, they are all incredibly compact at just 80mm in length, and they weigh around the same at 700 grams-ish with only a small difference between them. They have an 80mm front diameter for clamp-on matte boxes and 77mm filter thread for screw-on filters. They physically feel well put together, which isn't surprising now for a modern DZO Prime. The 270-degree focus and roughly 50-degree iris rotations feel smooth and consistent. Personally, I really like the finish of these. They are a very unique colour that I think looks great, but I know some may just want a standard black finish. The DZO Arcana are some of my favourite affordable anamorphics available. Given their compact size, low price, image circle and squeeze factor, it's incredibly impressive the performance you are getting here. Wide open they are sharp and have minimal chromatic aberration, but get even better when you stop down a little bit. The oval iris really helps rendering some great looking out of focus areas which have that anamorphic texture that people love. They do a really good job of balancing anamorphic qualities with some cleaner optical traits, which personally I love the look of. They of course are going to be compared to Blazar's offerings, as they have been the company dominating the affordable anamorphic space for a while now. We are planning on creating a comparison video once we receive our Viper set, so let us know what you want to see in that video in the comments below, and also what you think of the Arcanas. If you like the video, please give it a like, and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content, and thank you so much for watching.